Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Explainer. Today we're diving into something that is absolutely crucial. We're looking at the life-saving field of preventive pediatrics. Essentially, we're going to be mapping out the exact blueprints and strategies that medical professionals use every single day to protect our most vulnerable.
Okay, so we have to start off with a pretty staggering reality check that's presented right at the beginning of our source material. Get this, about 50% of all deaths in a given population actually occur among children during their first 5 years of life. Yeah, it's a really heavy statistic, I know, but it perfectly frames exactly why the medical strategies we're about to explore aren't just important, they are an absolute urgent necessity.
So here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with why preventative pediatrics matters, then explore the 3 levels of prevention, unpack the power of immunization, look inside under 5 clinics, and finally, tackle childhood accident prevention. Let's get into it.
All right, Section 1, Why Preventive Pediatrics Matters. Now, the subheading here is protecting a highly vulnerable population, and we really need to unpack what exactly makes this specific group so uniquely vulnerable.
To really understand that subheading, we just have to look at the numbers. Mothers and children make up a massive 59% of the population. That is more than half. By virtue of their sheer numbers alone, they're a major yet highly vulnerable consumer base for health services. But the ultimate goal of preventative pediatrics isn't just about, avoiding disease. It's actually profoundly positive. It is all about promoting holistic physical, mental, and social well-being. Why? So that every single child can achieve their full genetic potential. Think about that for a second. It's medicine geared not just toward basic survival, but toward maximizing human potential right from day one.
Let's see how this builds into an actionable medical strategy in Section 2, 3 levels of prevention. The subheading here is From Promotion to Rehabilitation, which really hints at the chronological timeline of care we're looking at.
And this slide shows exactly what we mean by moving from promotion to rehabilitation. The whole system is broken down chronologically into 3 tiers. Step 1 is primary prevention. This focuses on health promotion, basically stopping an illness before it even starts. Step 2 is secondary prevention, which steps in when things go wrong to ensure early identification and a really accurate, rapid diagnosis. And finally, Step 3 is tertiary prevention. This one is specifically for chronically ill children, focusing on limiting disability and maximizing rehabilitation. It's a brilliantly logical flow, right? It ensures a safety net exists at every single stage of a child's health journey.
Now that primary prevention step brings us straight to Section 3, the power of immunization. The subheading here is Shielding Against 6 Killer Diseases, and we're going to look at exactly how the body builds that shield.
To understand how we build that shield, we kind of need to demystify some of the medical jargon from the source material. Over on the left, we have innate immunity. Think of this as the baseline defense a baby is literally born with, like the factory settings passed down from generation to generation. Then, on the right, is acquired immunity, which is built up over the course of a lifetime. This acquired side, that's where vaccines come into play. They actively stimulate the body's defense mechanisms to recognize and fight off specific pathogens way before a natural, potentially deadly exposure even happens.
But here's the catch. Acquired immunity requires an absolute logistical marvel to actually work in the real world: the strict cold chain system. Because vaccines are biological substances, they are incredibly sensitive to heat. To keep them potent from the manufacturer all the way to some rural clinic, they have to be stored at super precise temperatures. Just take a look at the oral polio vaccine, or OPV, on the chart. It's highly heat sensitive and must be stored in a freezer at -20 degrees Celsius. Maintaining this cold chain is honestly one of the greatest unseen logistical achievements in public health.
Transitioning from the laboratory to the community, we're looking at Section 4, Inside Under 5 Clinics. The subheading is a system of holistic healthcare, meaning these clinics are designed to treat the whole child, not just a single symptom.
And take a look at this. This simple hand-drawn triangle perfectly explains that holistic subheading we just talked about. It represents the entire core philosophy of these clinics, showing exactly how different pillars of care actually support one another. Let's break down this genius little structure. Up at the apex is care in illness. What's incredible here is the source notes that 70 to 90% of this sick child care can be skillfully handled by trained nurses, making the whole system incredibly efficient. The left side is continuous growth monitoring, while the right side is preventive care, like those immunizations we were just looking at. Right at the center of it all is family planning, recognizing that the health of the child is deeply tied to the health and planning of the whole family unit. Finally, the border wrapping around the whole thing represents health education for the mother. Basically, every time she visits, she's empowered with new knowledge.
Finally, we're stepping outside the clinic walls for Section 5, Preventing Childhood Accidents. And the subheading here, Addressing Unforeseen Risks, focuses on the everyday hazards kids face out in the real world. To address those unforeseen risks, we have to acknowledge a pretty tough reality. Sudden, unexpected home accidents send a staggering 1 million children a year to emergency units. 1 million! Now, while falls, burns, and poisoning are common, the demographic data is super fascinating. Children between the ages of 2 and 10 are the most vulnerable. But look at that final point regarding personality factors. You might naturally think a reckless or maybe inattentive child is at the highest risk, right? Well, actually, bright and alert children are more prone to accidents. Their high level of curiosity just drives them to explore their environments and try newer, riskier activities. Their intelligence literally makes them more prone to danger.
So how do we combat this? Well, the strategy has to shift with age. During infancy, caretakers bear 100% of the responsibility. But as a toddler gains independence, they have to be taught self-protection through firm, prompt discipline. However, there's a really fascinating psychological warning in the source text here. Avoid constant nagging. If a child is constantly nagging and over-bandaged for every minor little scrape, they might start viewing themselves as a careless, wounded hero, which can actually cause long-term psychological damage. Instead, constructive substitution, like casually trading a dangerous toy for a safe one, is much more effective than just constantly yelling no.
Wow, so we have covered a massive amount of ground today, from the freezing logistics of the vaccine cold chain to the psychological nuances of child discipline. By breaking down this comprehensive blueprint, I really hope this explainer leaves you with a totally new perspective on just how structured and vital preventative pediatrics truly is. So the question I want to leave you with today is this: how can you apply these 5 pillars of care to better protect and empower the vulnerable children in your own community? Think about it. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.